just said,
Oh,
and we are back for episode 3 of Quantum Alchemist. I am one of your gracious hosts, Mr. Alchemistic, but you can call me B. And I am joined by Alex Romero Benjian, Mr. Quantum himself. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Any better would be a crime, sir.
Oh, that's great to hear, man. As you guys notice, I'm in a different setting once again. True to my existence as a feather in the wind. I am no longer at my other place of residence, which lasted about 3 weeks, which is a whole story. Everyone's probably not everyone, but a lot of people you probably can sympathize with the psychotic roommate story, which is what I just experienced. If you guys remember last episode, I had a sweet, sweet dog with me, Wendy, to start off the episode, and it was my roommate's dog. And when you vibe high, and when you love everybody and everything, when you see everything as source and another version of yourself, and an expression of your own essence, you vibe high. And animals such as dogs, which are nothing but love, the most beautiful creature I think the creator has gifted us with, these animals pick up on energy, right? And this dog, as you saw in that episode, in episode 2, that dog was just in my back pocket constantly. Like I could not escape her, and I didn't want to. I love that dog. A dog was like just the sweetest thing, and she was like trying to sleep with me every night. And my roommate started closing the door to his room so she couldn't come sleep with me. Started feeding her in his room. Started closing my door so that she wouldn't come in my room. And I kind of got this little intuition that something he's kind of irritated by this dog. His dog was just in love with me and just kind of just said, "Fuck you, dude. I don't give a fuck about you anymore." So I kind of got this little gut feeling, this little intuition that something's not right here. This dude isn't liking my presence in this house. And sure enough,
Doesn't
he
sound
had
like
this
it. Sounds like
major.
he's getting. It
What's
sounds like he
that?
was a little bit intimidated. It sounds like he was a little intimidated by you.
Oh, he definitely was. I mean, I look like a fucking Greek god, right? Like I work out every day, like religiously disciplined. I have discipline. I'm disciplined in my eating habits, in my workout habits, in my life, my meditation habits, my spiritual practice, all these things that I am, he wasn't. And the fact that
Right.
his dog was attracted to me really triggered him. And he had this big explosion over a cup of coffee Keurig pod that I took that he had bought, which he had told me when I moved in. Oh, the coffee is common. It's everybody's. It's fair game,
Community
right? Like
property. Community
we're
property.
yeah, it's community property. Everyone can get the coffee, right? So I didn't think me taking one of his Keurig pods was going to be a problem because although we were doing separate groceries, the coffee was community.
He's
So
like,
I
hey,
take
listen, everything is cool. Everything is cool so long as my dog still loves me, right? But the
I,
moment his dog starts
yeah.
loving you more,
It was definitely
it's
the dog, man. It was, I mean, I read energy. I read people. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I see things that most of you don't see. I feel
yeah.
things. I feel things that most of you don't feel. I can read your fucking minds, most of you. And I was reading his mind. I was trying to stuff it away. Nah, it'll work out. It'll work out. And this dude is super weird. Like, a lot of fucking weird things that and I'm weird too. So I was just kind of like going with it. I was like, oh, we'll make this
Hold on, hold
work.
on, hold on. Let's clarify something, and I'm glad that we got to this topic because if you there's no one is normal, okay? There's no normal people. In
No.
fact, if you start telling me about normal, then that would scare me, right? Because normality, they're normalizing things which we're all I mean, I'm sorry, like especially maybe pre-COVID, like it was a little different, right? Like I'd be like, oh, some people could mask it better, but post-COVID, bro, everyone's fucked. Like everyone's mind,
Oh
everyone's
yeah,
psyche,
everyone.
it's all
Yeah,
cognitive dissonance.
I agree. I mean, this is why I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this work, right? This is the type of person I am. I'm gonna. This guy had some weird things that he was in. He didn't like soap, which I don't really like soap either. I don't. I think that the chemicals in soap are very harmful to us. So we washed the dishes with vinegar and baking soda. We washed our clothes with vinegar. And it was just like all these little, it was a bunch of little stuff, right? He's kind of a
Wait, wait, wait,
survivalist.
wait, wait. This was how he wanted the stuff done at the house that you were in.
Yes. And like
Oh
he didn't like
man.
he didn't like cooking on like non-stick pans. Everything had to be stainless steel. So I was just adapting. I was adapting to his way of life, right? And I was just kind of bending over backwards for his things, right? His conventions. Like I'm weird. You guys you watch my social media. I'm a weirdo. I'm a self-professed weirdo. So I'm like, all
The
right,
Heisman.
this is his weird little cook. Yeah, the Heisman.
The
These are the
Heisman.
weird little things that I'm just gonna have to deal with as his roommate, and I was willing to do it, right? So like I was doing all these things to placate him, and but like he blew up on me over this cup of coffee and insisted I ripped him off at the post office, which was bullshit. I sent a post for him, and he gave me enough money plus $20 for me to take $20 for doing this favor hit for him, which I ended up paying $1 more than it was, and I didn't care about the dollar. But in his fucked up mind, I owed him money. Like he thought I gypped him out of $3. And then there's another thing where I bought I went and got food for everybody, and he gave me enough for all of us, all three of us. And then he insisted he didn't ask for change, but then when he blew up, he brought this up like I ripped him off for the food money. I ripped him off for the post office, and it really what it boiled down to was he didn't like that his dog loved me more than him. So he cooked up as many fucked up things in his head that he could to kick me out, which is what happened. And so now I'm kind of just luckily
But
I had set up this dog sitting job with a friend of mine, and he's out of town, and he found out what happened, and he said, "Hey, you can stay at my place." So that's where I'm at now. I'm dog sitting for my friend in this really nice house in Whittier. So I can't really complain. Um my life is a little chaotic, but it's always been chaotic. So I just adapt and I roll with it. And like this was a huge test for me dealing with this guy because like this dude was literally tearing down every bit of my being, like literally like talking shit about the way I make money, talking shit about my spirituality, talking shit about my energy, saying my energy sucked, which your dog is obsessed with me, dude. Like, how are you gonna tell me like the being that reads energy better than any creature on earth is wants to be around me and not you? And my energy sucks. It's like fuck off, dude. And
yeah,
he's
it's
like,
totally
oh,
different.
I've been shitting blood since you moved in, and like blaming me for his health shit. Oh, I started smoking cigarettes because of you. Like literally projecting all this fucking hate and garbage, and like I could see the demons in his eyes just egging me on, wanting me
It's
to fucking
interesting.
slay him.
It's funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's not. I actually speak with an astrologer. And I'll keep her anonymous for the sake of the conversation. But I love her to death. When you see this, Mama, you know who you are. But him giving you like him blaming you for he's like, I'm sorry, because but he's like, I've been shedding blood since you moved in. It's like, bro, um, this goes back to the topic of the podcast today, which is ascension symptoms, right? And this is one of the things that was discussed, in the astrology community. They're talking about how uh a lot of people are experiencing some really messed up like organs, organ functioning, and just their diets are changing, like they're having to change up what they eat. And I'm only talking about this particular group of people because I speak with someone who's very connected with that community, and this seems to be like the general consensus among them that they're all doing the same thing. So my guess is that it's not just them, it's a lot of people that are going through this too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you mentioning this him like, oh man, I've been crapping out blood since you moved in. It's like, well, it's actually been a problem with a lot of people doing this, right? And you may not, a lot of people don't look at this stuff regularly, but looking at the solar activity and how we're being blasted with extremely high concentrated amounts of gamma and solar radiation. We're pretty much in a microwave right now, and a lot of this is affecting our metaphysical composition, our body, our biology, our genetic system, our genetic composition. So if you want to call it DNA activation, you know, if you want to get into your light body activation, you know, your light code downloads, people are whatever they want to call it, you know, right? But point being is like we're all experiencing um some form of like, if you want to call it, reaction to the exposure to this high levels of solar radiation or gamma radiation. I believe this is the case. Just doing the math in terms of what I see in the news and like what I hear in terms of how people are feeling on on a mass scale. I've got a buddy of mine who shout out to you, John. I know you're not going to see the podcast because of the topics that we talk about. He's a devout Christian, and he feels like some of these topics that we talk about are very blasphemous and heresy. You know what I mean?
Of course he
So
does.
yeah. So you know, but I told him uh, I still love him, and he just agrees to disagree. So anyway, but him, you know, he's got a lot of medical problems, and he goes to these doctors of Western medicine, and to them, like they're legit telling him like, we don't know what's wrong. Like for some things they can figure it out, but other things are like we don't really know. We have no clue. And so for those things, you know, where there's no explanation, like this is a part where I'm trying to tell people like, well, go don't go to a doctor of Western medicine, go to a scientist. Go to like a research facility, go to a university where they're doing scientific research and look into radiology department, like look into radiation, look into like how a radiation affects the genes and DNA and the symptoms of radiation poisoning. Okay, you'll be very surprised to see the correlation of what those things um are when you start seeing the symptoms. It's going to be very, very close to something uh with, you know, with the vid, you know what I'm saying? That thing with the vid, you know, with a number after it. Yeah, very similar to that. It'd be very interesting for y'all to do your own research and check that out.
So this actually is a pretty good segue to the book. Um, Secret
Yeah.
Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Right. This if you guys are a truth seeker, if you're sick of the conventions of modern ideology and you're not satisfied with the conspiracy theory explanations of secret
The
knowledge and
narrative.
secret societies, the narrative that's fed to you, you need to pick up this book by Manly P. Hall called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. So, as far as the medical is concerned, of the ascension symptoms and this and that, and this is just Western medicine in general. Western medicine is not sufficient in incorporating the true composition of man. Um, this book talks about the ancient mysteries. It brings all these different cultures together, their beliefs, all the different things. In ancient times, philosophy, medicine, and religion, science, all were incorporated together under one heading, right? Like all the ancient temples were also um hospitals, and it was like this, like science, religion, and medicine um were all under the
And
same.
education. And education.
Yes, they're all under the same heading. They're all, the colleges were all, like this ancient knowledge of
The
man.
mystery schools, right? Isn't that a
The
mystery
mystery
school?
schools, yeah, the mystery schools, like, so what the ancients believed was that there wasn't just a physical cause for illness, there was a spiritual cause. This is something we talked about with that dude the other night at the concert. He was going through cancer or some kind of ailments, right? And um we were talking to him about the spiritual aspects. Like there's your spiritual body has a direct influence upon your physical body. And when there are
Yep.
infirmaries in your spiritual body, if there's things wrong with you spiritually, you have bad habits, you have your eating habits are terrible, you don't work out, you smoke 3 packs a day, and you just don't generally don't take care of yourself, and then on top of that, you've got mental illness because you have no spiritual life, you don't have any connection to the divine, you're stuck in this material world. And the modern, this is one of the quotes I wanted to read from this book. It's at the
And
very
you
end,
might be a material boy or girl.
and it kind of encapsulates what the problems with modern society. And But a lot of them, these physical symptoms, like I'll tell you a story after I read this. I'll tell you a story about my own physical ascension symptoms that I dealt with about a year ago. So let me read from this book. It says, ignorant of the cause of life, ignorant of the purpose of life, ignorant of what lies beyond the mystery of death, yet possessing within himself the answer to it all, man is willing to sacrifice the beautiful, the true, and the good within and without upon the blood-stained altar of worldly ambition. The world of philosophy, that beautiful garden of thought wherein the sages dwell in the bond of fraternity, fades from view. In its place rises an empire of stone, steel, smoke, and hate, a world in which millions of creatures, potentially human, scurry to and fro in the desperate effort to exist and at the same time maintain the vast institution which they have erected and which, like some mighty juggernaut, is rumbling inevitably towards an unknown end. In this physical empire, which man erects in the vain belief that he can outshine the kingdom of the celestials, everything is changed to stone. Fascinated by the glitter of gain, man gazes at the Medusa-like face of greed and stands petrified.
Yeah, like that right there, like that is so deep. I'm sure a lot that went over a lot of people's heads.
So to paraphrase this, our modern world, we're obsessed with the glitter of gain of materialism, and we've constructed this world of concrete upon this beautiful green earth, this concrete world which has no concept of the construction of man, our physical, spiritual, and
Right.
mental bodies, which are our
Human
threefold
design.
construct. The
Human
threefold
design.
the threefold construct has been thrown out in favor of the material, right? So modern medicine focuses strictly on material, what the senses of the doctor can perceive within the human. And so Western medicine is all completely in the tangible, right? It doesn't take into account the intangible things. Um, but like a lot of you look at our mental health crisis that we are facing in this world caused one of the causes that to make it as bad as it is was the COVID crisis. You look at the mental health crisis and it stems from a lack of spirituality. It stems from a lack of recognizing there is something in the intangible beyond this physical constructed world which has a direct effect on this physical world. So we talk about ascension symptoms, right? And if you're any kind of spiritualist, if you're in any kind of these social media tarot readers or people who are divine channelers,
Like
people in the
Reiki
spiritual
and
spheres,
Reiki,
Reiki,
energy work.
any of the energy stuff, they're all talking
Yeah.
about the shift in
Yeah.
consciousness. That there's two worlds emerging, right? There's the world of the people who acknowledge the spiritual, and then the world of the material, right? There is a real life split happening in human consciousness right now. And this is what the apocalypse is. This is what the end of the world is all about. Is like it's actually a splitting of the worlds, right? The worlds are
Yeah.
splitting. And the
The end
people
of an
like
era.
ourselves who are in tune with spirituality are feeling the symptoms of this split, right? Our body is adapting
Right.
to
Your
this new
3D and your
reality.
5D, your 3D and 5D self.
Our body is changing from a 3D material self to a 5D comprehensive construct of the material and the spiritual coming together because the 5D is becoming online into an alternate reality, right? And now what's going to happen when the split happens is that we're still going to be able to see both worlds, right? Like the people in this 3D material world who are all about money and fucking fleshly desires and all the stupid bullshit that they teach you to chase after that's what's going to make you happy. These people over here are still going to see us over here ascending, but they're going to be in this low dense vibration and we're going to be vibrating super high and having our DNA activated and having psychic abilities and like I have, reading this dude's I read everybody's fucking energy. Like I literally walk into a room and tell people's fucking stories. I didn't ask for this. It's just happened.
Yeah.
But
It's not as fun as it sounds, everyone. Like actually it's very exhausting and it's very taxing actually. It
well,
takes a lot of
you're still bound to the body, right? The physical body. I'm still bound to the physical body in a lot of ways, but my senses have expanded to where like I'm feeling everybody's shit. I'm
Yep.
feeling everybody's shit. So when I go out in public, like last night, I went to this show at the Roxy in Hollywood, and I'm in this
Yeah. Tell me about
big group of people, right? I'm feeling the energy, like when bands on stage and they're putting out their music and the people are vibing to it. I'm feeling good because I'm feeling everybody's good energy. I'm happy because like I'm feeling everybody's happiness and they're vibing on the music and I feel it. Like I'm literally downloading it. But then after the show, I'm walking out and I'm seeing, and every time you go to a rock show or a rave or any kind of club night, there's always this groups of girls, right? They're all there with each other. There's always one girl that just couldn't handle her shit, right? She drank too much or she took too much drugs and she's sitting there crying. And there's people around her trying to console her. It's okay. You're not fucked up. You're going to be okay. There aren't really demons everywhere. Like there's always
Oh,
one, and like I feel that too, right? I feel her pain, like, oh, I've been there, girl, like feel it. And then you see the angry dudes, like it's like you feel it. Like I just like I've been that dude. I've been every version of these people, right? So I feel it. I
you're like, I got
literally
the t-shirt.
it's yeah, it can be overwhelming, and that's part of. I mean, for me, spiritual symptoms, like ascension symptoms, include like fatigue, extreme fatigue. I go through like days of extreme fatigue where I don't even want to get up out of bed. I have to get up and do my energy practice. I do something in the shower, like I have a ritual in the shower. I have a ritual with the plants and the trees that I get sucked out their energy, right? I get energy from water, I get energy from fire, I get energy from earth and air. Like that's what an alchemist does. I get energy from the elements.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if I don't do these things, if I don't keep up with my practice, I get very low energy. Like I get drained. So I
Yeah.
had this experience with ascension symptoms that last year, and I didn't realize what it was, right? Like I was having these heart things in my chest, like a pain, chest in my chest pains. And this is I don't know if I should bring this up, but I went through this experience with this mirrored soul, right? They call it twin flame. And basically, you download another person into your body and you like feel everything from them emotionally, physically. If they're going through shitty stuff, you feel it. And one of the things is heart. You feel some. It's an emotional body thing. It's in your emotional body, but it displays itself as physical symptoms, right? So I was feeling this pain in my heart, and it scared the shit out of me. And I fucking work out religiously almost every day. I eat well. I do smoke tobacco. At this point, it's been relegated to ceremonial. Like I maybe 2 cigarettes a day. I'll break them up and I'll smoke it out of a pipe, spread out through the entire day. I used to smoke half a pack a day, so I've downgraded to the point where I'd ceremonially smoke this, and I get energy from that. It's a part of it. It's a elemental ritual, right? The tobacco is water and earth. I use fire, and my breath is the air. So it's
Yeah.
earth, water, air, and fire all together in an elemental ritual. That's how I view it and how I treat it.
Again,
So
alchemy.
alchemy, yeah, that's what it is, guys. And we're quantum alchemists. We're gonna go into this stuff in coming episodes. But so I'm a healthy dude, like really healthy. And like I said, I look like a Greek god. Much to the chagrin of my ex-roommate, who was a fat lunk
Oh,
who had no discipline, drank every day, and blamed me for his bloody shits.
hey, listen,
So
just y'all know, everyone knowing the path and walking the path are two different things, okay?
yeah. So anyway, this I'm having these heart pains, and I was scared to death. I went through it for like 3 or 4 days, and it got really bad. And my brother was like, "Dude, you need to go to the hospital. Like this is not something to fuck with, like chest pains." So I go to the hospital and I told them I have chest pains. They get me in there right away, like really quick. They had me fucking hooked up to all these like monitors. They did the fucking blood test, the blood pressure test. Like they were fucking boom, 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 putting me through tests. And I figured out within a couple of minutes that it wasn't serious because the nurses were kind of looking at each other like, this fucking guy over here. My heartbeat was 59 beats a minute, which is like super healthy. And so yeah,
That's what.
so they're like, this dude's fine. You know, they did some blood tests and stuff, and they did a chest x-ray just to like verify. And the doctor came in and he's like, you're fine, basically, is what he told me. He said that, you
Well,
should probably quit smoking, is his suggestion. He said your lungs might be going through some irritation. Um, but I was like, what the fuck happened? Why was my heart like pain? But I later figured out it was just ascension symptoms. It was like me feeling this emotional body of this person that I'm like eternally connected to, unfortunately. Like literally can't get rid of this energy that's just constantly like it's like being it's like downloading another person. Look up the twin flame stuff if you guys want details. It's a lot. But I mean, I can't really talk too much shit about it because it literally awakened me to who I am. It really took me on this journey of spirituality where I'm reading spiritual mastery books from, the ancient sages, and really have this new found understanding of myself and the cosmos and God. I have a very personal relationship with Creator. Like I feel like it's the twin flame thing is no joke, you guys. Like a lot of people, I see a lot of stuff about twin flames on the spiritual spheres, and people like I had a friend of mine. I talked about this on my social media. I had a friend of mine who like insisted this girl at his work was his twin flame, and I was like, brother, you have no idea what you're drawing to yourself. I was like, first of all, like the twin flame is not what you think it is. It's not. It's like if you guys aren't familiar, it's like a soulmate on steroids. Basically, it's like a mirrored soul. It's like another half of your soul. It's like another you. It's you in another body. If you ever come across one, it's not like a normal love story where you get all butterflies in your stomach. It's like it's fucking like discombobulating. You look at this person and it's like, what the fuck am I looking at? And it's literally like seeing yourself in another body. And then you get all these sensations and telepathy, and it's just a whole fucking mess. And then you trigger each other into this separation where you can't be around each other because you're each going on your own spiritual journey. And there's a runner and a chaser, and then they switch dynamics, and it's a whole fucking thing, dude. It is a whole fucking thing, and I had
It
no idea what
depends.
the fuck a
It
twin flame
depends.
was.
Like not every twin flame experience it works out like that. Like what happens, we have very much like let's think like poles, right? Positive, negative. And now you could have two positive, two negatives that just kind of like if you ever got a magnet and you flip them the wrong way, like they will either attract and they will get together, or they will repel and you can't get them to stick, like no
Yeah.
matter what you do. And so I believe that you have both, right? You have people that can get along really well but are just not really compatible at that level, because there's still a level of selfishness that the person isn't willing to give up or to sacrifice for the other, which is that polarity. There's no
Hmm.
sacrifice. Whereas you have the complete opposite, which is your true twin flame, that when you link up with them, like uh, it just there's no separation, right? It's just like it's just oh, it's just attraction.
Yeah, it depends on your progression in the spiritual journey, right? Like for me,
Yeah, of course,
I was at
naturally.
this crucial junction in my spirituality where I needed to get rid of a bunch of old baggage to really ascend to where
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be, right? And I think she was probably going through something similar. Like it was this horrible, like it was my fault, like the way it all fucking blew up, right? It was my fault. I just we were we there's this very like intense connection, right? Where it was like this person could be my best friend, right? Like, and like we were never romantic. Like it was always like we were both coming out of relationships. We both, when we met each other, said, okay, let's just be friends and like because neither one of us was looking for a relationship, but it was like this connection was so powerful and so strong that was like we couldn't deny it. Like, so we just started talking like every day, and like I was like thinking like, man, this could be my best fucking friend. Like she's like another me, like she's very prolific in a lot of shit, and so am I. And like it was just like, and I eventually like I couldn't handle the just friends thing, right? Like I just felt so strongly about her that I just fucking told her one day when she triggered me, right?
You grew
You
up on
trigger each
her.
other, right? You trigger each other. She triggered me. One of my fucking triggers is like you ignore my texts, right? You ghost me, and I got fucking triggered, and I just said bleh, and fucking just bleh,
That,
and it went
that,
it fucking exploded, and then it was but like some people say they meet their twin flame and it's instant love, instant connection. So I don't know, man. I don't even know if
yeah,
it's fucking real. Like fuck, like all I know is like there's forums for it. There's a lot of people talking about it, and like my experience with this person lines up almost exactly with a lot of other people's experiences because it literally catalyzed this huge spiritual awakening where I had my Kundalini awakened, and then I created Kundalini. I created Kundalini, the fucking board game, and I started making all this art, and I started just becoming this person that I've always supposed to be. So it. There are good things and bad things about it. It like every
everything's
day,
an experience. Everything's an experience to learn,
yeah.
and
And from my own experience, though, it gets a little exhausting because like I've been with a lot of women in my life, and this experience is nothing like anything I've ever experienced ever. And we were never romantic. Like we were friends for like 6 months, and then it blew up. And it's been fucking a long time since I've even seen this person. Like 17 months since February of 2023. So February of last year is when this blow up happened. But literally fucking every day, this person pops in my fucking head. It's like I can't escape it. Um, it's literally attached to me forever. Apparently is what they say. You can't cord cut. You can't do anything to get rid of it. It's just something that's there, and eventually you'll come back together. But it's like at this point, man, I don't even give a fuck. Like
you will not.
I really just want to move on with my life and do my purpose. I feel like I found my purpose in life, which is this podcast is part of it, right? My art
Yeah,
is another part of it. It's talking to people about shit. It's this is the most one of the most important books that's ever been written. It's definitely the most important book that's been written in the last 100 years. Like it, if you are a seeker of knowledge and you don't have any type of um things holding you back as far as like your ideologies. Oh, I'm a Christian. I grew up in the church. This is going to destroy everything you believe in, and not in a bad way, in a way that shows you like the path of Christ is the true knowledge of life. But it's not just from the Christian church. Like the Christian church
right,
borrowed it from these other traditions, and it's
right.
been literally the story of our existence. Was the
The
story
path
of
of Christ,
Christ.
the path of Christ was actually the path of truth,
It
because
it is, and
through
and people will fight against this fact. They fight against this truth
yeah,
because their church told them to, right? Because it's heresy to say otherwise. Because Christ is the only way. You must believe in Christ, but it's like, yes, Christ is the only way, but the church is not. Get the fuck out of the church. Um, get the
oh,
fuck out of the church,
we're gonna
please.
get
Like
hung for this.
no, literally, if you read this book, you see that the story of Christ is ingrained in so many different mysteries and so many different cultures. It's
Yeah,
literally in almost every fucking culture. And it's like, yes, the truth of Christ is the path of Christ is the only way back to God, but it's not through the church. And so let me read
right.
this
It's not
before we end this
through the
first part.
it's through the truth.
Let me read this. This is the very last paragraph in this book. I'll read it and then we'll go to a part two. Um, The criers of the mystery speak again, bidding all men welcome to the house of light. The great institution of materiality has failed. The false civilization built by man has turned, and like the monster of Frankenstein, is destroying its creator. Religion wanders aimlessly in the maze of theological speculation. Science batters itself impotently against the barriers of the unknown. Only transcendental philosophy knows the path. Only the illumined reason can carry the understanding part of man upward to the light. Only only philosophy can teach man to be born well, to live well, to die well, and in perfect measure be born again. Into this band of the elect, those who have chosen the life of knowledge, of virtue, and of utility, the philosophers of the ages invite you.
Bam.
Get this fucking book and read it.
What a
That's all I
powerful
gotta
close.
say. It's fucking amazing.
That's all about that.
It literally brought together everything that I've been learning. Like I've been initiated by source into this knowledge through my art,
You found that book just like I found the other index.
through
It's weird.
meditation. And this book just came to me. My buddy, him and I were just talking about Manly P. Hall, and this video I had posted on my Instagram about a month and a half ago is this Manly P. Hall 5-part video. Scroll down on my Instagram, Mr. Alchemistic, if you guys are interested. Go to my Instagram, scroll down, and watch that 5-part video. It's really enlightening. But he gave me this book, and I just finished it today, and it's one of the best books I've ever read. One of the best books I've ever read. It brings so much stuff together, enlightens so much of the ancient mysteries, and you don't have to go to a secret society mystery school. You don't got to do a bunch of,
Got it right
weird
here.
rituals. You don't got to fucking wear a white
Dress
robe.
up in costume.
You don't got to burn effigies in the forest to an owl god like the, Bohemian Grove. You don't got to do any of that shit. Just read this book, please. Please read this book. If you want to be a quantum alchemist, you need to read this book. So the secret teachings of all ages, an encyclopedia outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Rosicrucian symbolic philosophy by Manly P. Hall.
Oh, I got something for you when we come back, part 2. It's gonna blow you guys' minds. So stay tuned. I just found it. It's a VHS tape, and you just hit a trigger word. So stay tuned. We're gonna come back, part 2, and blow your mind.
Do this. Quantum Alchemists in Los Angeles, downtown. Back with part 2 of this episode 3, and we left you off with a quote from this wonderful book, Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. And I'm just going to read one more little passage here just to enlighten your minds as to the fantastical, amazing wisdom which this book imparts upon its reader. And this dude is he has a lot of condemnation for modern society, and this was written in the 1920s. So he was very kind of prophetic in his ideas of where we were headed materially. This obsession with material life was bad in the 20s, but it's 100 years later, and it's just gotten infinitely worse. So he says, from age to age, men ceaselessly toil to build cities that they may rule over them with pomp and power, as though a fillet of gold or 10 million vassals could elevate man above the dignity of his own thoughts and make the glitter of his scepter visible to the distant stars. As this tiny planet rolls along its orbit in space, it carries with it some 2 billion, back in 1920, human beings who live and die oblivious to that immeasurable existence lying beyond the lump on which they dwell. Measured by the infinities of time and space, what are the captains of industry or the lords of finance? If one of these plutocrats should rise until he ruled the earth itself, what would he be but a petty despot seated on a grain of cosmic dust? Philosophy reveals to man his kinship with the all. It shows him that he is a brother to the suns which dot the firmament. It lifts him from a taxpayer on a whirling atom to a citizen of the cosmos. It teaches him that while physically bound to earth, there is nevertheless within him a spiritual power, a diviner self, through which he is one with the symphony of the whole. Ignorance of ignorance, then, is that self-satisfied state of unawareness in which man, knowing nothing outside the limited area of his physical senses, bumptiously declares there is nothing more to know. He who knows no life save the physical is merely ignorant, but he who declares physical life to be all important and elevates it to the position of supreme reality, such a one is ignorant of his own ignorance. Atheists, take heed.
Yeah, right. That's like a gut punch right there. Like, oh, what do you mean?
And my buddy gave me this book, is very into philosophy, right? The modern philosophers. And he aligns himself more with Western thought, which Western thought relies primarily upon the physical, what the senses can perceive, right? What is tangible, what the Western philosophers are all seeking for something in the tangible. And he doesn't really vibe with Eastern philosophy, which deals primarily with the intangible. Um, and Eastern philosophy is very spiritual based, like it's in the intangible and the things that can't be seen. So a lot of Western philosophers end up killing themselves because they become so obsessed with mind and the physical, trying to find some secret in the physical, that they end up killing themselves. And I told him, I said, I think a lot of Western philosophers kill themselves just so they can get the mystery reveals itself to them in death. Like they become so obsessed with finding the mystery, but they're seeking the mystery within the tangible, which is not where the mystery exists. The mystery
Right.
exists beyond the tangible world, beyond the physical. And
It's
in
funny.
Western, what's that?
As I said, the teachings tells us that death is only the beginning.
Yeah, I mean Socrates. I believe it was Socrates or Aristotle said. No, Socrates. Socrates said, the fool doth think himself wise, but the wise man knows that he is a fool."
Yeah,
Right? Like even like there's nothing in the tangible that's going to give you proof that God exists. Nothing
right,
other than the beauty of this creation, right?
right,
If you can't behold the creator within the creation, you're never going to find it. You're never going to find God unless you can see
yeah,
in the tangible the
right.
evidence of the beauty of which is ingrained in the creation. And
In
then you
in
want to
our
go deeper.
in our experience of the 3D.
And you look at this physical reality, it's encoded with mathematics. It's encoded with laws like that are physical laws, right? So it kind of behooves you to kind of connect the dots that there's something intelligent that created this thing. If it encoded our bodies, the entire creation, our body's a fractal of the creation, right? Like, and that's a lot of these ancient mysteries here, all their symbolism and all their little secret teachings and everything. It was just about showing you that as within, so without, as above, so below, right? There is
So,
a
so,
yeah,
so this is great. This is great for the ascension symptoms because this is all exactly that. As
well,
above, so below.
it's literally, and that there are limits to Western philosophy, and a lot of them kill themselves because they are in the mind and they never come the 6.5 inches or how far it is down here to the heart, to the intangible thinking organ that we've been given, which has a electromagnetic field that is infinitely bigger than the mind's electromagnetic field. The heart is the seeker of the intangible. You feel the intangible in the heart. You feel it, and when you awaken it, it is undeniable. And this is where the atheists fail: is that you're stuck in your mind, guys. If you're an atheist, you're stuck in your mind. You haven't opened your heart, which is I was talking about this last episode when I was pointing to my little symbolic masterpiece here, the Kundalini, the board game. These three chakras down here in the tree of life, right? You see that you can get stuck here. The paths of this tree of life here will keep you stuck down here in these lower three chakras, where you're never going to break through to the understanding and the knowledge that is up here in the upper chakras if you can't break through this heart chakra right here, the green one. The heart chakra, look at all the different paths that go to the heart chakra,
Yep.
right? It's connected to all the other stuff, right? And if you can't open this,
It's the filter.
you will never see this. You will never see it. And this is where the divine exists, is up here. The throat, third eye, and the crown and above. That's where ascension happens, here, up in the upper chakras. And if you're stuck down here in material existence, in desire, in seeking for material pleasure, you're always going to be stuck down here in these lower three chakras. And you're always going to be like, oh, God doesn't exist. My life is shit. Oh, life is terrible. I hate my life.
And
Why
you get
can't I
stuck
ever
in a
get
loop.
ahead?
You get stuck in a
And,
loop.
and you're just stuck in this loop of these lower three chakras, and you never break through your heart because society told you that men don't feel, right? Like,
And don't
that's
cry.
fucking bullshit. You need to open this thing right here. You need to come into your heart, get out of your mind and this egoic thinking of like, oh, I'm just a piece of dust and I don't matter and life is meaningless and there's no God and it's all down here. This is where you're stuck. This is where you're fucking stuck. If you don't break this through this heart chakra, you will never behold the mysteries ever.
I don't know,
Um,
man. That's pretty intense. That's pretty intense. I don't know that I hope our audience is ready for that stuff. That's a little bit more advanced teachings, but yes, definitely those are it's interesting. I'm pretty sure that the Kundalini stuff gets spoken about in this book. And I was looking at the book. I've got a different version of the same book, and I was looking at it earlier today, and I even hit up B, and I was like, man, this book is so deep. And even he's like, yeah, I don't know if people are ready for it. And
I
I'm
mean,
I'm I'm okay going over it, I think, in pieces, and like I think it's important to dissect it and like make it layman's, because you know what, dude? Like, I'll be honest with you. I think that this type of thinking is what's lacking right now. And a lot of people are like, I heard you say a lot. You said a lot. I understood very little of it. And it's like, not me. I'm not saying me. Like
no,
I'm reading the book and I get it. It's like, but um, it's like me talking to people about Bitcoin. It's like, uh, uh,
it
it's
just
all
goes back to the first episode, right? Where you're talking about when all these different things are telling you to pay attention, you should probably pay attention when it comes to Bitcoin, right? When it comes to blockchain and the really like groundbreaking technology that it is. If all these alarm bells are going off, you should probably pay attention. And the spirituality thing is the same thing. I feel like a lot of people have kind of crossed the threshold, though. I think people are ready for it on a certain degree, but you have to be willing to literally clear out all of the bullshit that you've been taught your entire life. Like literally, you have to understand. You have to understand this. Look in my eyes. You have to understand that every system of thought that you've been conditioned with since your birth, from your school institutions to your religions to the conspiracy world, the alternate matrix sponsored version of truth that you think you have, you need to throw it all in the fucking trash, light it, douse it with gasoline and light it on fucking fire. All of it. All of it. All of it. You need to be willing to do that, or you will never find the truth. Because we have been um, conditioned in this day and age, we have been conditioned since birth to believe nothing but lies. Plain and simple. Plain and fucking simple. Whether it be in the church, whether it be in the schools, in science, in medicine, in all these things that
yeah.
used to be under one house, right?
We just
In the old
normalize
age, in the
we
old
normalize the
ages,
lies.
where all the fucking ancient mysteries were illuminated. They were all these things were under the same house. They're under the same purview, right? They're just different elements of the same thing. Science, religion, mathematics, all of it was under one roof. Because it's all inclusive. The only way to
There's
illuminate
no separation. There's no separation.
the only way to illuminate the mysteries of man is to bring all these things together. And that's where we're at in this society. Is all this stuff has been fractured. And I said it in the last episode. The truth was
Yeah.
a mirror in the hands of God, and it fell and broke. And everybody took a piece of it and thought they had the truth. And there's no better explanation of modern society than that. The truth that you've been conditioned with is a fucking lie, or it's a half truth. And if you want to really understand, if you really want to understand what we are as human beings, what this existence is, you need to one read the book, and that'll bring a lot of puzzle pieces together. But you have to be willing to take all the garbage you've been programmed with since your birth and throw it out the fucking window.
Yeah,
Just
you know
throw it
what's
all
funny?
out. Throw it
I
all
actually
out
have
and
a
start
story.
over.
I have a story for you. I was in North Carolina. I went to Washington D.C. I participated in this thing called the Government Blockchain Association, which interesting story about that. So I went to a blockchain convention in Vegas where I met some people. I was trying to help them with something for a convention called PulseCon. And I was trying to like help them get organized, but I quickly realized that that wasn't going to happen. There was a lot of politics that was taking place there. So anyway, um, at this event, I've got this guy, and I'm not gonna say any names because uh there's some stuff going on right now, and I'd rather just keep the names anonymous, right? So let's just call this character Rick. All right. So Rick uh comes and tells me, hey, I'm with this uh association called Government Blockchain Association, and he tells me, you know, we've pretty much got everything figured out. He's like, the only thing we haven't figured out is how to manage identity, which was kind of interesting that would be the approach that he would come at me with, because I at the time was doing deep research on identity management, specifically using blockchain and how I would do it to like I put a lot of that stuff on my personal channel on Quantum Architect under Quantum Tribe. So anyway, the point being is like um I told this guy I had this stuff done, so he told me we'll come out to DC, meet with these people. So I did that, and it's funny because I'm there for my first day, and this guy shows up in this suit, and he's a little tiny little fella, you know, and he's wearing this like olive green suit. I remember, and he's like, "Hey Rick, I'm looking for Rick," uh, and he's like, "Oh, that's me." And he's like, "Oh, this is for you." And you could tell like the dude was like just fresh off a plane, you know, like he had just shown up. He's like, "Here you go, I got this for you." He's all right, sir. Have a great day. He turns around, walks straight off, and just leaves again. I'm like, okay. So we open it up, and it's a 24-page scroll, and it's got the official seal of NASA on it. It's like, okay, like what the heck is this? So um in this uh in this document was the plans to build a new um like FAA type of system, you know, like they're in the future, not so distant future, I guess they're planning to roll out like transport units for like drones. They're already experimenting with it in like North Carolina, I think, in the Triad area. But they're seeking some input from people that were working in the blockchain space to see how to go ahead and secure something like drones so that they can't be taken over hostily, you know, and being able to record all of the incidents that happen with any asset on the network. So I basically just provided my 2 cents based on my research, and I never heard, I don't know what they ended up doing. They were just kind of like asking for input, from different groups. Um, so who knows what they ended up doing. I ended up no longer working with that group. Um, so there's some characters in that group, and the reason why I protected the names is because, you know, when I got to the blockchain government association, or was it government blockchain association, I realized like there's some people that are really trying to do some like legitimate, impact changing, world changing stuff. And then you've got other groups that are like factions, and I'll call them like the WEF cronies, like uh
World
the
Economic Forum.
yeah, like the people who support, us being on a bug diet.
Yeah,
And
the Klaus Schwab and
yeah, debugs.
his imperial weirdos.
Yeah, and like so I recognize some of those people at some of these meetings, and I'm like, okay, like don't get me wrong, like look, when you work at this high level, you like it's funny, I saw a meme once and it said, you know, at low level, competition is a low vibe thing. At the highest levels, we're all collaborating, which it's true. Like, yes, everyone is working, everyone is providing input, everyone is trying to figure out how to solve the existential problem of humanity, right? And it's funny because as of late, I keep bringing up this problem, which is, um, you know, AI is advancing super rapidly, and I was talking to my astrologer once again, and we were talking about how automation over the next by 2026, like automation should be at a point where you probably won't see any more cashiers, any more checkout counter people. You won't need any more paralegals. You probably won't even need any nurses. Um, I'm sorry, not maybe nurses you would need, but maybe not doctors. Not so many doctors because AI will take over that stuff. Um, like there's a lot of different things that AI can do that we as humans don't have the capacity to do at that rate. So we have two really amazing things happening right now. We've got technology advancing at mind-blowing speeds. Like by me saying super fast, it's like still an understatement. Like it's at a phenomenal rate that people just couldn't wrap their heads around. And as advancing as far as it is advancing, now it's for the normies. I call them the normies, the people who are not like in the higher echelons of like, where the technological advances are going or innovation. Like even for like the mainstream, like we're still even more advanced from that. But um to be able to get to the level of disruption that I'm talking about, like it's gonna have to happen in phases. And we're entering now, like think about it, we're in 2024, we're about to enter Q4 of 2024. It's the end of September, almost. It's the first week of September. um at the end of September is the end of Q3. Then you go OND, October, November, December, you go to Q4. And then we're in 2025, right? First quarter century of the new millennium. Like by now, according to all the storytellers in our movies and stuff, like we should have flying cars and all this other stuff. Like there's a lot of things that have been worked on for so many years. I just got word that, and I have to fact check this, by the way, guys. I wish I had my rig set up so I could do the fact checking while I'm doing this, but I don't have that set up right now. But that there is a airport set up outside of London for people that have flying cars now. So we've got all this technology advancement, and so now I'm starting to bring up the question again that I was asking back in 2017, which led me down to where we're at today, which is, what are we gonna do when we don't have to do anything anymore? Like, it looks like that period of time is shortly around the corner. And it's interestingly enough, I was looking on my feed today on YouTube, and there was a bunch of stuff about UBIs on there. And I don't know if you're familiar with UBI, but UBI stands for Universal Basic
Universal,
Income.
yeah, yeah.
So like, these are conversations that um you know do affect our reality, and there's two sides to that. There is a very positive side, and there is a potential negative side or potential for catastrophe with that. And that is only because of the disruption. And also, let's be honest, like, we've got a lot of dummies out there, right? A lot of dummies that want to like, they like playing with fire, like, and you're gonna have a house burned down somewhere because some moron's gonna light something on fire, and the house is gonna burn on fire. It's just the law of numbers. There's like 6, 7, or 8 billion people on the planet, by today's, numbers. There is some moron out there that's going to do something with AI, that is going to try and do something to try and break it, to do things it's not supposed to do, that wouldn't be good for us. So for that reason, like, we've got to watch out and protect ourselves from morons like that. And so I've already said this in many talks. I tell people, the only way to truly defend ourselves against AI is with AI. So we need to build a strong offensive AI for a great defense. That's offensive, not offensive. I'm sorry, a great strong AI that can detect intrusion attacks and defend against it. I mean, that's the only thing that we're going to be able to use to protect ourselves against AI. Point blank, nothing else. No human is going to be able to compete with that, unless you integrate with it. And so I guess Elon's working on that. That'll be your option. I'm not. I'm not looking to go down that rabbit hole right now. That's not what this podcast is about. But thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So with the AI stuff, we advanced to a certain point where like you said before, we can't put the cat back in the bag. So we are just going to have to deal with it. And a lot of people, I've told some people about, with your work and the stuff that you're doing, and their first response was, "Well, I don't know if I like that very much." And this is the conditioning of our society through the stories, right? The stories of Skynet and Terminator 2 and all these like things like warning us about AI, right? Well, we didn't listen to those stories, and now we're in this reality where it exists, and we can't get rid of it. So, like you said, we got to find a way to work with it to synchronize. Otherwise, the destructive part is going to happen, and it might not even be the AI itself that destroys. It might be some bad actor, like you said, some asshole who wants to make his mark on society by destroying it. And this is the lower chakra shit I'm talking about, like people who don't understand that we're all one, that we're all just one consciousness. They're just there's a lot of really broken humans, and you know and unfortunately these broken humans are the ones that ruin it for the rest of us. And what the people who want to control us use AI for the top down control grid that they tried to foist upon us during COVID. We got a pretty good insight into what they really want to do with this stuff, with all the shit they try to do with like the COVID pass and the COVID thing and the da 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 da. You got to have the green pass on your phone. They and then
Made a movie about it.
the Chinese social credit system that it exists already, is just like a seed in this top-down control grid that this technology is possible with. Like, but I posted this quote by Terence McKenna, who's a modern philosopher. If you guys are familiar with him, he's very good. Um, but he talked about how we have the technology and we have loving people and we have all these different elements that could create a paradise on earth, but we're led by the least among us. We are led by the least visionary, the least empathetic. Led by the most pathetic people on the planet, right? Because we just give away our power to these people because they happen to be in some political. They kissed enough ass and fucked their way to the top. Kamala Harris, um, to where they're in a position now where people are like, "Oh, I'm going to vote for her for president because she's a woman," and da 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 da. Like, and they don't like look at the fact that she has zero skills as a leader, and
Well,
Trump isn't much. Trump's not much better. So, like,
well, let's talk about that for a second, because that's coming up, and there's a lot of debate about that. I talked with my astrologer once again. She's like, you know what? She's like, I do not like engaging in people in conversation with people when they think that this is an election and not a selection, and like that we have any type of control or anything with our participation. Like, that's a debate to be had. Like, I say, would I participate in the process if I knew that it was certified on a blockchain? I think I would be a little bit more inclined to believe those results as opposed to like mail-in ballots that, oh, which by the way, I want to put this out there, that she tells me maybe has received 4 or 5 different versions of the ballot, and they're not even addressed to her name now. There it says resident of, and it has her address. So it's like, oh, okay, so now these ballots aren't even addressed to anyone specific, so anyone can go ahead and just submit a ballot, and who's to say that they're not going to count those votes?
oh, they will, but I mean, it's all a puppet show anyway, man. I mean, I say Kamala or Donald Trump as leaders. They're not really leaders. These people aren't fucking leaders. They aren't your leaders. You don't have a choice. They could look up George Carlin and his little rant about we don't have a choice. You ain't got a
Well, this is
choice.
this is the interesting thing,
Um,
which is she actually works in insurance, or she used to. She switched jobs recently for whatever personal reasons, but she was telling me that at the highest levels, like they're all the consensus is that this is an illegitimate administration, that this is not even our legitimate government that's in place right now, that whatever they were passing while whatever it is that they were doing while they were in there is not even like really supposed to stick. So it's almost like this next election supposedly is gonna correct the last 4 years of wrong. I don't know, dude. I'm just saying, like, this is kind of like the narrative that they're spinning. I'm just kind of like throwing it out there. So if you see it happening this way, remember you heard it here first. Come into a city near you.
uh,
Okay, how it's all rolling out.
well,
Now you
so you
got,
got
and one of the things that I want to talk to you about also is, we were talking about how everything is so inverted, and I want to make this reference, which is before before uh, before President Trump ran for president, he was actually a Democrat, and he switched parties to be Republican, right? Now let's think about this. Left is right, up is down, everything is backwards, right? Let's think the yin and the yang. Let's think of ambigrams. Okay, let's think of how these people think, right? And so you've got now Donald switching from Democrat to Republican, and now as of late you've got top level Democrats jumping Democrat ship going to the Republicans, like RFK, and then dumping on the Democrats, right? So it's like all the Democrats jump to Republicans, and all the Republicans jump to Democrats. So the parties have inverted, and so has our political system. Our political system has inverted. So I've just noticed this. I don't know if anyone else, if you have noticed this too, please comment in this in the comment section below and let me know what you think. If you see some sort of pattern here, like maybe I'm crazy, maybe I don't know. Am I onto something here? Like, or am I crazy?
I think it's just a way to further confuse the ideological sways of people. Like
But
it's
does it
just
make sense though? Does it make sense though that you'd have people jumping from one party to the other, and now you have literally the party switch sides, where like you've got people that were originally Democrats now Republican, people that were Republican now Democrats, and now what's going to happen is this is going to push the vote for the Republicans, right? Because they they switched the sides. Now they're no longer here; they're over here. I mean, I don't know. I'm just painting what I'm seeing is happening. Again, this is a narrative that they're trying to paint. Leave your opinions and let us know what you think below. I know this is a heated subject for some people. They're like, "What do you
yeah,
mean?"
I don't know how we got into politics. I think it's my fault for talking about the leaders are the least among us.
Yeah, it's your fault.
But
It's your
like
fault.
there it is my fault. Let's get away from politics because I feel
Yeah.
like it's all an illusory puppet show anyway. None of these
Well,
people are
anyway,
really our
well, the
leaders.
whole point of this, that I was getting at, it was the fact that I was getting back to the conversation of, what do we do when we don't have to do anything anymore, right? And so the cool thing is that this is all geared towards 2026, and it looks to me like we're right on schedule for the system that I've been working on, which I'm not saying it's gonna solve that problem or that this is the only solution to this problem, but it it seems to me like um the most logical way to do it, and there may be some other iterations of what I'm doing that maybe you guys would see in a platform known as X, which you're probably not gonna know this, a lot of people, but the stuff that I'm doing, X is doing a very similar parallel type of like system. Obviously, they've got buku bucks, big level engineers, and tons of runway to work with. Um, it's just me and like a few people on my end, and the research is done. I'm just waiting for the Fed to cut interest rates so that I can get access to some liquidity out of the market. But so I can start, pumping some money to my devs and getting stuff going. But um, yeah, man, like this is where we're at. Like I'm super excited, like to talk about this stuff because things are coming to life right now. Um, and and the network is going to be going live pretty soon, so this is important for our audience as well because we're going to be cutting the podcasts. We're going to be cutting them shorter onto YouTube. We're going to be keeping the time going, but we're going to cut them shorter, and we're going to be putting all the full length ones in the network, so you guys can go ahead and join us there, and you guys can go ahead and see all the documentation. We want to share so many things with you. The archives are going to be on private servers, so you will have to join the network to be able to access those documents. And yeah, B, I don't know, like, how do you feel about this one today?
I feel pretty good about it. I think we covered some good stuff. I think we could probably wrap up because we kind of dumped a lot of shit on them today.
Yeah,
There's a
let's get
lot of
let's let their brains rest.
lot of heavy stuff. I don't want to go 2 hours with this one. I think that's a pretty good place to end it.
Yeah,
If you
stay
guys like
tuned to
our
come back for more.
if you guys like our stuff, please like, share, subscribe. All of our social media stuff will be in the description below. As I'll also put the title of this book that you could probably find on Amazon, Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. It really is a very comprehensive assembly of all these different cultures, all these different philosophical stories and myths, and all the way all these things correlate together, and kind of follows along with what I said in episode 2 is like all these cultures have the same knowledge. It's just it's just they have a different way of going about it, or they have a different story, they have a different name for the character. But like the
Yeah,
story of man, the story of Christ, really is ingrained in a lot of different cultures that preceded the Christian version of it. And it's really interesting to read into this stuff. You guys like history, you guys like finding out about ancient cultures. It
yeah.
is very
Extremely
very
appropriate.
enlightening. very enlightening and very worth a read. And as long as you don't, I would say, don't bring any of your preconceived notions or your ideological baggage with you, and it will definitely change your perception of what this reality really is and what history really was, right? We don't really know the truth about history because our history, like I said, in our schools, you've been taught nothing but lies. But I hope that we've been able to kind of enlighten that
A little
fact,
bit.
and we will continue to do so in episodes forthcoming. So we'll, with that said, we'll end it there. Alex, thank you again for your expertise, and I love you, brother. I
Love
feel
you
like we're
too.
doing good things here, and this is um this is the podcast, you guys. You didn't ask for it, but we're gonna give it to you. So that's all for now with Quantum Alchemist. Stay tuned for more episodes, and we're out.
This is